Blooming with vibrant colors and delightful fragrance, phlox is a favorite amongst all gardeners. But did you know you can easily create more of these beauties for free? Phlox thrives in a variety of settings, adding a touch of charm to borders, edging walkways, and gracing rock gardens. In today's video, we'll be guiding you through 3 different ways to propagate phlox, so you can enjoy these stunning flowers throughout your landscape. Hi, I'm Dr. Tom Warren, and you're watching The Plant Doctor. Let's get started. So we're going to talk about 3 different methods of propagating phlox. I'm going to give you the advantages and disadvantages of all 3. And so the first one, there's already a ton of YouTube content about doing this method here, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But it's simply just to dig up some of the phlox and transplant it. So phlox is going to be able to root almost anywhere. And so the advantage of using like a pair of post hole diggers or a shovel to dig up some phlox is you can do that any time of year. All 4 seasons you can dig some up, and you are going to get a 100% take rate. So you dig it up and then you put native soil or sand or pine bark or something back in the hole where you took this from. The disadvantage of doing it this way is the fact that you're going to have holes in your phlox. Wherever you take post hole diggers or a shovel and dig that up, you're going to have holes there. You need to backfill those. Now they will fill back in. By the end of the summer, that hole that I dug, you won't even be able to notice it, but here for the next month to 2 months, there's going to be a noticeable hole there. So let's go take a look at the other 2 methods that I want to show you. The other 2 types of propagation I want to go over involve cuttings, and there's 2 types of cuttings we're going to take here. We're going to take hardwood cuttings and semi-hardwood cuttings. So hardwood cuttings are going to be last year's growth, and so you can tell last year's growth because it'll be hard woody material. It's going to have more of a grayish color to it. The semi-hardwood material, you can only get this in late spring into early summer. And so today is April the 26th. We're kind of in the prime time for taking semi-hardwood cuttings on just about anything. So semi-hardwood cuttings are going to be the new growth that has emerged this year and is starting to harden off into mature plant material. So what you want to do before taking your cuttings is make sure you clean your hand snips. Use some rubbing alcohol to clean them thoroughly, because we don't want to be transferring pathogens from plant to plant. I do a lot of pruning, I do a lot of propagation in the yard, so always make sure you have a clean pair of hand snip. So I'm going to start with semi-hardwood cuttings, and all you need to do to take a cutting is pull up on some of the new growth. And we want a piece that's roughly 3 to 4 inches long. So we're going to get several of these today. The next type of cutting, the hardwood cutting, we've got to go a little bit deeper. What I want you to do is go down past the green material, find where that material starts to look brown or gray, and make a cutting. So the cutting is going to be much larger here, and actually what I'm going to do is take some of this off the top, give it a little haircut, so that I'm left with something that looks like that. So in order to propagate your semi-hardwood or hardwood cuttings, you're going to need a few things. So what I have here is just a clear Rubbermaid container. You just need some sort of container that has clear sides or a clear top, so a little bit of sunlight can get into the container as our cuttings begin to root. You also need some sort of media. I'm using coarse sand, so the texture of the sand really doesn't matter. Phlox roots really easily, so it's not finicky about what type of media that it needs. I'm using sand for demonstration, but if you have peat moss or potting mix at home with a lot of peat moss in it, that would work. A mixture of peat moss and sand would work as well, but you need some sort of media. Here again, I'm using sand because it works, it's readily available for me, and it's cheap. You want to put about 2 inches of media down into your Rubbermaid container, and this is going to give the cuttings plenty of depth for those roots to take off and spread out in this container. And all you need to do, we'll do hardwood cuttings first, and stay with me till the end of the video. I've got some cuttings here that I did about 10 weeks ago, and I'm going to show them to you here to show you the progress from week 0 to week 10. So on the hardwood cuttings, all we need to do is just stick these in here and bury the brown part. Leave the green sticking up. Just bury them maybe a ½ inch to 1 inch down, and that's it. So by nature, phlox is going to want to root. As it spreads on the ground, This hardwood naturally produces roots anyway. That's how it spreads and spreads and spreads. And so we're taking advantage of that. We're just going to put that in sand and it's going to root. So for our semi-hardwood cuttings, that's a little bit different. So what we need to do here, I'm going to strip back about the bottom 25% or so of the leaf material. And then what I'm going to do is we need to add some sort of rooting hormone to the cuttings. And all we want to do is dip it in there about a ½ inch deep, and then we're just going to put it in the sand. We want to bury our cutting to the first set of leaves. So you want that first set of leaves coming from the bottom up to be touching the sand. We want a humid environment for our cuttings. So what we want to do is add just a little bit of water. Now you don't want so much water that you can see it pooling up on the sides of your Rubbermaid container. Our goal here is to just keep this humid at all times. We're going to put the lid on it. And what we're doing here is creating a little greenhouse. So our prepared cuttings from 10 weeks ago, we can see that here in the Rubbermaid. I hope that shows up on film. I can see the condensation on the sidewalls. I can see some condensation on top of the lid. That's what we're after. I don't want so much water in there that I can hear it sloshing around. I see it pooling up in the bottom. We run the risk of rotting our cuttings at that point. You just want humidity. So an advantage of doing the hardwood cuttings, we can do it year round. You don't need any rooting hormone. And also, I found out I get near 100% take rate on those cuttings. The semi-hardwood cuttings, you need some rooting hormone, and I don't always get 100% take rate on those. Some of them wilt over, they never root. So my personal preference is to use the hardwood cuttings off of phlox, because what that does is almost ensure 100% take rate. It's very easy to do. I'm not leaving holes in my phlox out in the yard where I have to backfill and wait for the phlox to fill in. It's my preferred method. So what I have here is some hardwood cuttings that I started 10 weeks ago. We're going to take a look at them. I've got a handful of them in here, and I'm just going to start pulling them out one by one. And another reason I did this in sand is so I could easily pull these out and show you guys what we're dealing with here. So there's a long hardwood cutting. You can see that it actually put on new growth. So when I took these, it was just a little bit of new growth right here. And so it's actually been growing in the container. And you can see the results right there. So we got roots here, there's roots here. So this is rooted. We'll just pull up another one. Here again, this one's rooted as well. You can see the root shoots coming off here. The hardwood is put on some new growth as well. There's one more in here. This one actually got really long, it looks like. Oh yeah, this one did really good. Okay, you can see all of the roots here. So this was just a cutting here, and then all the roots came down off of this. And this one really hasn't put on much new growth. I can see a little bit of new growth here. It's still in a dormant hardwood state, but you can see the amount of roots that it put on it. It's done really good. So all of these took. So where do we put this for 10 weeks? That's the next question that we need to answer. And so what I do, I put it on the north side of the house. I'll just stick it up under a shrub somewhere. You want it to get some light, but you never want it to get direct sunlight, because if sunlight hits this directly, it's going to get well over 100 degrees, 120 degrees maybe inside of this Rubbermaid container. You're going to burn your cuttings up. So put them on the north side of the house, put them underneath a deck if you have a deck. If you have a covered porch, that's another good place to put them. And just wait about 10 weeks and check on them. See if they have roots. If they have roots, from there what you can do, you can pot them up into like a 4-inch pot or a 6-inch pot in potting soil and let them root out from there. I don't think I would plant these cuttings directly from the Rubbermaid to the landscape. I would put them in a pot, let them root out into the pot. That way they have a nice big root mass before we put them into the landscape. And those are 3 methods that you can use as a homeowner to create free phlox for your yard. Guys, as always, thank you for watching The Plant Doctor. And until next time, happy gardening.